Folks, layoffs are going to continue for the foreseeable future. Just what it looks like right now. I'm been reviewing some information, getting notes from around different sectors of the economy, and we're definitely seeing. There's been a bit of a, I want to say, a bit of a slowdown, a little bit of ebb in layoffs, but they're getting ready to ramp back up again. Particularly in this one industry, we're going to take a look at here a little bit later during the talk today, and no one should be surprised. No one should be surprised that layoffs are going to continue. Now, this industry that we're going to get into, yeah, of course, they've happened already in this industry and they're there. But they're happening everywhere. But in particular, the percentage that these companies are talking about is pretty high as far as who's thinking about it. I say the companies that are thinking about it. Again, we're going to take a look at some other things here. I've got some information with cash flow problems that are going on in another industry within construction. I just want to quick touch on that. And then we're going to take a look at an article from Inc.com where they talk about the most effective leaders and what they do and how they operate. It's something for everybody who's either in management or leadership or aspiring managers just to keep in mind. And it is definitely something that I coach my clients. Again, for those who don't know, my name is Ryan Howell. I'm a business coach that works out of West Michigan around the country. I come here live on YouTube pretty consistently every single day, and I hope to earn your subscription. So let's get into this here. As always, links are going to be in the description, so be sure to go check that out. All right, now again, we're starting here. This is from Construction Drive. I like a lot of Construction Dive. I like this dive site because they do break down a lot of stuff by industry, and this one in particular caught my attention because, folks, if there's one place where the economy is going to show up for, like, we're going to see stuff. It's going to be we're going to see issues. It's going to be in construction. Construction is near to foundational to economic effectiveness as the banking system. Like it is the first line typically after the banking system. Real estate is in there, but it's construction first. I mean, that's just the case. And here, cash flow problems continue to plague subcontractors. So I want to look at this. I'll make this a little bit larger for y'all here so we can, let's see. Survey of 800 construction pros found a majority of firms dip into profit margins to maintain working capital. Now, if you know anything about construction, and see, she's learning, more in plumbing than construction, but yeah, almost all construction is typically financed. It's just the way it is. You rarely ever use capital for construction. The math just doesn't math, so they typically finance it because there's things that you can do with the tax law and the way that you can structure your loans to where it makes more sense so that we have more capital available for business. Well, what's happening here now is that what we're looking at here is they're having to use more of their profit margin. So they can't have the capital available, which is not good because of the way that it works here. So let's get the brief here. There's a stark divides between how builders manage their profit margins and how they retain available capital. Sudden emergencies. In its 2025 National Subcontractor Market Report, the company surveyed over 800 contractors, general contractors, suppliers of all sizes, according to a news release. In the findings, Build, referred to as alarming, revealed that 40% of subcontractors retain half to all their profits in the business to fund operations, which limited reinvestment growth. All right. What that means, by not having that, they have to keep it basically just to be able to maintain operations. At 40% is pretty significant because what they'd rather be doing is using it to purchase more. Like that's what it comes down to. They need to keep it just so that they can keep all their staff employed because they're not getting cash on a consistent basis. So like that's what this is saying. Slow, unpredictable pay was the leading culprit of cash flow instability, according to the release. Again, it's a huge problem. Cash flow is always an issue in construction. The report also found that general contractors believe payments occurred in 30 days after pay application, but subcontractors waited almost 2 months on average. So think about that piece of it as well. That's what's forcing them to maintain these levels, folks. Is they have to maintain a cash balance on hand because it takes up to 2 months for them to get paid. They do the work, it's done, they've invoiced, and now it's 2 months later before the money makes it to them, which is not okay, like at all. Now, beyond, we talked about this other piece here where, oh, actually, additional, excuse me. Results show that 43% of subcontractors report not having enough working capital to cover unexpected expenses or project delays, according to the report. So that's also not good. Beyond that, 41% of subcontractors making more than $15 million in revenue seek more working capital before they need it. But that means the majority, 59%, don't. So they're not prepared when they suddenly need money. All right. So what they're saying is that, well over half into the 60th percentile don't make sure they have a huge, basically their line of credit is fully stocked, right? That's the issue. And that's huge. That's dangerous because if you can't make payroll, you're out of business. Like that's just what happens. And that's the biggest concern that we're dealing here when I see cash flow problems when I'm talking with clients on this, is that you have to maintain. Cash flow kills profitable businesses every year. The vast majority of businesses that go out of business are profitable. It's because they get into a cash flow crunch. That's what happens. They just don't have cash for operations for it to pay for their labor, and then they have to go out of business because they have to wind it down. They get sued, not paying people for work, especially for employees. I mean, you go to jail. So that's the big piece here. So when I see this report, that right into itself, the fact that we're extending into that 60-day window is telling that folks do not have the capital available to pay for their construction services, which is not good. Again, that's just telling for the rest of the industry. All right, let's get to the next spot here. Next article, which is again this is HR Dive. These are the weekend numbers, and I like this article. Comes out obviously every week, and this one had an interesting information here, kind of summed up the overall tenor and the feel for the economy at the moment. And things don't look good. I mean, we've been saying it for a while. Now, here's the thing. I just want to put this out there for folks. Just understand that the attitude and the economy can turn on a dime. It really can. It can just all of a sudden, hey, everything's fine, and we move on and life gets better. Like that can happen. But right now, everything seems pretty sour. And right now, we're running into these numbers, which you'll see. College seniors who's just spent the 4 years preparing for work, that a lot of their jobs don't exist anymore. So we're going to see that. Yeah, see this just right here. This is the face. The HR Dive. This is from Ginger Christ here. Christ, maybe. Probably Christ. She probably goes by Christ. Okay. The tech hiring managers expect layoffs in the next 6 months. Like, that's the T right there. From the original intro into the video here, is that tech hiring managers, they're still expecting. Now the percentage though is kind of wild. So let's see. All right. So first and foremost, the amount, by the numbers, 3.9 points. The amount Eagle Hill Consulting's Employer Retention Index, which reflects how likely workers are to stay in their job during the next 6 months, climbed during the first quarter. So when we see this number going up, just to let you know, so 3.9% is a 3.9% increase. Basically, the number moved up. So let's say whatever it was last, the previous quarter, it moved up by almost 4%. And what this means is the higher the number is, the more worried people are about being able to get a job somewhere else. So they're staying put. They're not even looking for work elsewhere. Okay, so that's concerning into itself. We from the labor side of this, we've talked at length on this channel about how important it is to that distinction between labor and capital, and that where that leverage is on the economy, and it tells you how well the economy is doing. If labor does not feel confident that they can go find work elsewhere, that means capital businesses have more leverage, which means wages will not be going up. Like that, at the end of the day, TLDR, that's what that means. Wages won't be going up, because where else are you going to go? You can go find work elsewhere. Good luck, because there's no other jobs. That's the dynamic. When for the last 10, 12 years, labor's had the leverage. they've been able to just, hey, I can go find a job anywhere, which meant employers had to stay on top of benefits and wages and all those things. That's why we kept seeing wages going up. Now, not the case. And it couldn't be a worse time, especially considering inflation and everything else that's going on. Okay. So that's just something to keep in mind here. With that, I talked a couple days ago on a live stream about NILFs coming back, which is not in labor force. Those folks are going to be coming back into, which is only going to exacerbate the situation. So I expect that 3.9 to continue to rise. All right, 21%, the percentage of engaged employees globally, 21%. This has gone down to where only 21% of basically employees feel engaged. Like they show up to work and they've got a thing that they can connect at work. It's they no one wants to be at work. That's what it's saying. That's it. And again, that number is usually higher, but it's dropped down, and I expect that number to drop again. This again, feeling of malaise, I think, is the phrase that's out there. To borrow something from the 70s, hate to bring that one back, but folks are just meh in most of the office environments, which is, most of what we have now in this country. The production folks, they're not too, they're a little bit worried about some certain things as far as like manufacturing, but we're going to have a boom time for manufacturing is what it looks like. The small business numbers, the loans show that the manufacturers are spending. So I expect to see this number, as long as they're talking to the folks that work in the service or the, in the services, i.e. office environment, to continue to stay low. 54%, the percentage of hiring managers in tech who said their companies are likely to conduct layoffs within the next year. 54%, folks. It's over half. Over half are considering doing layoffs right now. That is a startling number. And the thing is, the folks that aren't the tech into those percentage that are not considering layoffs either have done significant layoffs or don't realize that they need to do it and are probably going to be too late to the game. That's probably what's going to be next. 100% of tech industry companies should be looking at how they're conducting layoffs. I just say that right now. They should be looking at it. Doesn't mean they're going to. Doesn't mean that they're going to, but they should be considering it because they need to be as flexible as possible with their capital over the next 9 to 12 months. Like that's going to be a big piece. And if they're stuck with a high labor, high payroll, it's going to limit what they can do to flex, to bring in additional technologies, whatever they need to do, because this is going to be changing quick over the next year. It's just got that feel to it. But 54%, that's a crazy number. The percentage of graduating college students who express pessimism about starting their careers, 56%. I'm surprised it's that low. I expected that number to be significantly higher. There's a lot of folks who are going to show up to work in industry and are going to, that should already be concerned about it, but they're going to show up in industry and they're going to be like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. And that's 30 to 40% of people in general. Once they start working, like, man, this isn't what I thought it was going to be in college. So that number, yeah, I expect it to be a lot higher. There's going to be a tough time finding a job, folks. I feel terrible for the folks who are graduating this year. The job market is garbage. They're going to be looking for the NILFs who are coming back into the job market. That's who I expect a lot of business owners to be hiring, is going to be those folks who haven't been in the labor force and they're coming back because they have experience. And then 79%, the percentage of women surveyed who say they believe recent news about companies and the federal government removing DEI programs will negatively affect opportunities for women, according to Women in Workplace survey from Fairy God Boss. So take that with a grain of salt on that name from where it came from. And again, I always do this, and this isn't new here, but this isn't new here. There's a inherent bias in what they're skewing the data on that with. I just tell you that right now. Do they expect there to be opportunities for women? Yes. Do I expect there to be less opportunities for everyone? Absolutely. And all that means is going to be more competitive for everybody. That's really what it comes down to. Now, again, we've talked about this. DEI programs, if you want to have them, there's a lot of places removing them. If it's something you want to have in part of your business within the law, make sure you're following the law here, of course. this may be a differentiator for you. We highlight the fact you want to have a DEI program if that is something that you want in your business. But if that's something you're looking for as an employer, they're out there. There's not everyone's jettisoning DEI, so take a look at it. They're out there for you, folks. No doom and gloom here. All right. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity for everybody to go find the business that they want to go work at. It's whether or not they're going to be hiring is the piece here. All right. So last piece here. Again, I just want to take another second on that before we move on to this last bit about where effective leaders and how they operate. Folks, layoffs are going to continue this year. They're going to continue at least for the first half, at least for another 6 months, I would guess, if not longer. But here's the thing. They're going to have to, the turnaround will be swift when they do start hiring again, because there's going to be people going after talent, right, that's out there. So what I'm recommending to everybody is, rather than looking for green grass on the other side of the fence, take full advantage. When you are with your current employment, raise your hand, get as much training and experience as you can right now. Make that your priority, make that your focus. So that way, when we do see the labor market turning around and like all of a sudden hiring is picking up and the layoffs stop, that you have done everything you can to develop yourself to go find other work. On the flip side of that, for employers, with the layoffs that you're doing, you need to be tripling down on your efforts to fully understand exactly what jobs you need. Make sure those job descriptions are written exactly as you need them to be written. So that way, when you are ready to hire again, when you put those out there, you're going to have a better opportunity to, filter out the folks that are not going to be a right fit for it. And it'll entice those people who are naturally inclined to do that work to find it. Okay. Because when it does turn on, the competition for talent is going to be immense. And if you haven't been through one of these cycles before, folks, it's awful. It's terrible. This lasts for a while. We've been laying off since 2022. And it's been a bit. So we are now in the back end of this thing. Now, hopefully on the back end of it, at least in the last, throes of it, where in the next 6 to 9 months, more layoffs will continue, and then they'll stop, and we'll see a dramatic, rapid turnaround as more people are investing, et cetera. That's the hope, right? Fingers crossed. All right, and the last one here is from Inc.com. Why the most effective leaders speak less. Great leaders understand the art of silent leadership. Who here has had the boss that knew everything? I've had a lot of those over the years, that they would just come in and there was no discussion. There was no, hey, Ryan, what do you need? How can I help you do your job better? It was none of that ever existed. It was always, hey, this needs to be done. This needs to be done. This needs to be done. Well, but there's constraint. Don't care. Get it done. And then blah, 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 right? It's just terrible leadership. Not what you want to have. And again, something with my clients that I coach, and we make sure that we are not doing that thing. Like, that is near and dear to our list that we don't want to have. So, all right, let's get into this here. This is an opinion by Peter Economy. That's obviously got to be a pen name. I'm the leadership guy, unless it's his real name. Hey, then so be it. All right, everyone knows those meetings where a single individual takes over the discussion and prevents others from participating. The problem is, often that person is the leader. Chances are that the most effective leaders you've worked with or admired probably stood out because they didn't talk the most in meetings. They probably perfected what I call silent leadership, the technique of carefully limiting communication to create powerful outcomes. Again, according to the survey, 4,000 leaders, those leaders who were rated as poor listeners ranked at just the 15th percentile in trust. However, those who rated excellent in listening skills were in 86th. So where do you rank as right? And there's definitely a piece to that. I talk in meetings. One of the things that I talk with my business owners and clients about is, as the boss, you should be the last to talk when it comes to a particular subject, as far as to weigh in. You want to practice asking clarifying questions and open-ended questions to help people, speak more and clarify kind of what their thoughts are if they're not fully mastering it, but you should be the last one to chime in. It's natural thing where the boss says thou shalt, and it's the end of the conversation. Okay. We don't want to have that. And The more that you can do that, the better you're going to have about that. Now, listening is a strategic advantage. Here's some of where it comes from listening. Enhance information gathering. Your focus on listening enables you to collect diverse viewpoints, which leads to more informed decision making. 100%. Stronger team engagement. If folks know that when you come in that they need to be prepared to discuss rather than listen and execute, they're going to be better prepared, period, when they come in here. But also the fact they know that, hey, when I come in, I'm going to be able to offer my 2 cents on this and at least have a better than average chance of getting my point across. We love that. We love that for people. We want that. And then also improve problem identification. The number one issue that I ran into with business owners and when I was in industry was just like, hey, I got this thing I want to talk about. And you're just, boss, you need to slow down and let us talk through this because I need information and there's data on the other side of the table that I need to be able to talk with them about. And then they need to hear me and we need to be able to bounce this around a little bit. And it'll help you as the boss get a better idea what's going on. Don't just steamroll us. That's, again, we're talking about problem identification. And then deliberate communication model. And this is the last bit we're going to get into before we wrap up here. Asking thoughtful questions instead of making statements. 100%. We always want to ask questions. When I'm coaching clients in general, either it's the solo entrepreneurs, the small groups, the business owners, what I express to them is you build authority by expert question asking. The way that you can cultivate and deliver thoughtful questions will communicate your expertise better than you showing off that you know what's going on. Ask better questions. And when you can do that, people love it because they get a chance to, again, talk, but it also challenges people to continue to explain their reasoning and the way they're thinking about stuff. Now, becoming at ease with silent moments to give others time to think. I'm a big fan of working in negative space. And I don't mean like in emotions. I mean where there isn't anything. The best art in the world masters negative space where there should be something, but there isn't, and the use to help guide you towards the direction that it helps guides the eyes towards where the action is. And if everything is busy in the art, no one knows where to look. So you need to have the negative space to give people time to contemplate where they should be spending their time. So silence is super important. As I've been talking here for 20 some odd minutes straight, right? Anyways. All right, communicating with focus, accuracy, and meaningful intent, and then resisting the urge to fill every silence that we talked about there. Again, links to all these are in the description. Be sure to go check those out. Folks, again, a quick recap here, but let's start backwards here. Leadership. Ask better questions, you'll be a better leader. That's what I can tell you right there. If you ask better questions, you'll be a better leader. Master the art of asking questions, and then giving people opportunity, and then be able to sit back and let people fumble and fuddle through answers to help their critical thinking. It makes everything more better. Okay. We took a look at the numbers there, and the big worrisome numbers on there are, again, it paints a picture here. We've got the people who are not willing to leave their business is going up, right? They're not willing to leave their current employer is inching up, which means they're less likely to find work elsewhere. People who are engagement is continuing to drop. And then we have the number of tech industry companies is well over 50% that are planning layoffs for the next year. Okay, that's not good. And then the last one, we just talked about the cash flow problems that we're seeing in construction with the subcontractors, which means the primes aren't getting paid, which means that the people who are having the construction done are having a difficult time finding capital to pay people. So to end all this up here, when money slows down in the economy, bad things happen. It's always about velocity of capital through the system that tells you how well the system is working. The fact that it's taking everyone longer to get paid is a signal that bad things are happening and are going to happen in the future, at least in the short term here in industry, okay, in the economy. So with that, hopefully I earned your subscription today. If you'd like to learn more about how I help businesses grow faster than you ever thought possible, be sure to check out summitbusinessguys.com.